Welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Romano. To continue the video regarding family disputes and how your siblings and your spouse could very well take everything that you have and give it to whoever they want and leave you basically homeless. Now, that is a very big topic, and I know a lot of families don't like to talk about these things, but unfortunately you have to, because if you don't, and when you die or when you go brain dead, you have to write down what you want done. So for example, if you want to have a walk every day outside, if you want to take a bath once a day, if you want to go on vacation 3 times a year, whatever it is you like doing, you must write down in those private documents. Because remember, I don't know if you remember history, but even the wealthiest people have disastrous families. Look at Mrs. Astor, Brooke Astor, her own son, and I don't believe it was the actual son, it was the son's wife, who was selling Brooke Astor's art. And she was basically living on her sofa. And it was a terrible situation that happened. Or, for example, Leona Helmsley, what she did to Harry Helmsley's children. He was married before that. She took him away from his own wife and children, and then when he died and she died, she left the estate, billions, to the cat. So there are evil people out there, and unfortunately, when they're alive and when you're with them, you may think that they're the sweetest person and that they're doing everything for you. But the fact is, it's not like that. The real picture is that this is a scary world, and it's up to you to fix those situations and make sure that you protect yourself. So for those lawyers out there, I would hope that you create a asset protection kit and sell it to all your clients. These are really important documents and structures that you need to create for your customers. Don't ask them what they want done. You tell them this is how to protect your assets. You create a private foundation, not a trust. A trust is a simple agreement that can be broken, because that's how it is. Agreements are meant to be broken. And so you don't want that for your client. You want a private foundation. Now, of course, depending on what you're looking for, you could have an American private foundation or an international private foundation in Luxembourg or, Belize or Panama, or actually one of the best rock solid is Liechtenstein, a private foundation in Liechtenstein. I didn't talk about that in the past because that's extreme asset protection. And one of the best places in the world is you have to look at their constitution and what their constitution says about privacy and how they deal with foreign governments. And so the best place that a international private foundation would be Liechtenstein. And so that's just the workings of a private foundation. For those of you who don't know what a private foundation is, it's not a charitable foundation. It's an actual structure such as an LLC or a corporation that you actually create in another country, and you put all the assets that you own as the owner of those assets. So if you have an apartment building, let's say in Manhattan, and it's worth, $1 million, well, that's pretty cheap, but you get the point. The owner of that apartment building is an LLC in New York City, and you name it the address of that property, but the owner of that LLC is not you. It is the private foundation in Liechtenstein. And so that's how, it's not to avoid taxes, it's not reducing your taxes, it has nothing to do with that. It simply has to do with when you die or you go brain dead or you get married, such in Nevada, as soon as you sign that certificate, they own half. But I'm not making these videos on cheating people. I want you not to be cheated, such as my family was cheated, and a number of family members in my family, cousins, aunts and uncles, you name it, and friends of friends who were cheated. I don't want to go over all the stories as I've done in the past, but the most important thing is while you're alive, before you get Alzheimer's or before you get into an accident, accidents could happen any time of day. What happens if you fall down the steps and you hit your head on the cement and it cracks open? Well, you've affected your brain. And when the brain is touched, your actual ability to think, function will never be the same. It's a very delicate organ in our body. And even when you get older, your brain shrinks. And it actually affects your cognitive ability. So you may think that you're okay, but making rational decisions, such as creating a will or a private foundation, all of that. And you want to do that as soon as you can. Don't wait until you're 50. Don't wait until you actually have millions, let's say, because you think that's for millionaires. Well, the fact is that the world's wealthiest people, such as the Vanderbilts, they were incompetent to protect their assets for multi-generations. And they didn't create a private foundation as they should have, whereas the Fords and many other families have over 100 years ago. And those private foundations are still very wealthy, such as, I'm not going to go through the list, but the Rothschilds, so many families out there have protected their assets from future fraud, from future generations and the same generation. So you need to focus on what you have to do today. And for you lawyers out there, create a package deal, not $10,000, do it for $2,000, let's say, and create an actual private foundation in America or in, Liechtenstein, so to speak, come up with some contacts there. There are many organizations that specialize in Liechtenstein private foundations. I'm not going to go through the list. I could probably send it to you, but it's just a simple structure like an LLC. That's what a private foundation is. All right. So instead of you giving your assets away to a charitable organization, which really doesn't care about who they're giving it to, the fact is that when they say they're donating the money for research or they're donating for this or that, they're not helping anyone. It's up to you to help your future generations and your family. Don't go give your money away to organizations that really don't help anyone. And I'm going to explain why that is. With all the money in America and all the money that's been given to charitable foundations, why is it in my city that I'm from, New York City, or where I live now in Denver, why are there homeless people? It doesn't make any sense. All the millions of dollars, billions of dollars that are given to charity, what are they doing with this money? The fact is that they only give a very small amount of money away. And the people that actually work there, they're not equipped with really understanding what a poor person needs, okay? Going and buying clothes and all this and just giving it to people is not helping people. You're not helping the actual situation. Why there's homeless people in Denver. So if you want to actually help people, go buy a building in Denver and put a unit in that building, several hundred units, maybe 10 feet by 12 feet, like a dorm style building. It doesn't have to have windows. Give these people a place to put their personal belongings, even if it's a garbage bag or whatever it is that it's special to them, so that they have a place to go and sleep at night. You have to remember that I do speak to a lot of people and I ask a lot of good questions, just who I am. I don't know why I do this, but I've spoken to a man that runs the homeless shelter in Denver. And, you know, when he told me that he had to go feed the cats, I didn't understand what he meant by that. And he finally told me what that was. And I was shocked that, you know, they actually fight with each other. And the only time that they don't fight is when it's cold out. So I'm trying to share my story with you because I don't want that to happen to you. It's a very simple structure. It doesn't cost thousands of dollars. You don't have to be a millionaire to create a private foundation. If you want to create a private foundation in America, that's fine. But you have to remember that you have to create proper documents in that private foundation and register those private foundations so that your wishes are the people in the future generations benefit from that money. Giving $100,000 to, you know, your niece or your grandchild, they're just going to spend that money. Or giving the money and splitting up the $100,000 between each child, that money is going to be gone and their spouse is going to take it. What if they have a masculine spouse or a masculine partner? Just like a Joan Crawford or let's say a JP Morgan. He was a monster. He even looked like a monster. And so you need to create those proper documents that, let's say that when you're alive and you go brain dead and you're still able to walk and move around, that you're not living in, like, let's say, a coma. What do you want done? Do you want to go for walks every day? Do you want to take a bath every day? What type of soap do you want? What do you like to eat? What are your favorite foods? How many vacations do you want every year? Where do you want to go on vacation? Are the beneficiaries allowed to sell your real estate? And what are they allowed to do with it? How much are they allowed to take from it every year? You need to write that down and you need to think about how to preserve this money for multiple generations, not just today, not just tomorrow when you die. And yes, you need to think about these things. Look what happened to the owner of the meatpacking district in Manhattan. He died and he had over $4 billion worth of Manhattan real estate in the West Village and the meatpacking district. He had no children and he didn't create a private foundation. He didn't even create a will. Well, the courts took over, the probate court took over. It took over 10 years to sell those buildings. They were decrepitated. They were falling apart. And if those of you who remember the West Village, how you had one beautiful townhouse and next door you had one that was all boarded up. That was his real estate. Now, that's what you don't want to create. Because when you get older, your cognitive ability may be distorted. And so he didn't have a proper functioning, the proper ability to manage his $4 billion worth of real estate. And back in those days, everything wasn't in the open. Unfortunately, now everything's online. You can see who owns that building, etc. And you probably get all the real estate brokers like myself back then calling you. I probably called you if you owned expensive real estate. And so that's what you need to do. You need to focus on preserving assets. That's a simple thing. You don't have to pay estate taxes. You are avoiding estate taxes because you took it out of your name. There is no reason why it should be in your name. You create an LLC of that property, and the owner of that LLC is a private foundation. You could do it here in America, but if you want proper asset protection, you must do it in a country where the laws are stringent. Their constitution protects the LLCs, the structures, the legal structures, the people that live in that country, etc. And so the only place in the world to really do that is Liechtenstein. You could do it in Luxembourg, you could do it in Panama, you could do it in Belize. Singapore is not an option anymore. You have to properly think about what you have to do. And these are things that you have to think about, because my parents, they were really bad with this. My grandfather on my mother's side, really bad with this. The nursing home took, I don't know what percentage, but probably 70%. My grandfather on my father's side, he had so much real estate, but somehow he dies penniless. How is that possible? And of course, you have so many situations that happen to all of us. And if you want, send it to the live chat and we could all talk about it. It's so important to discuss our situations and how other people can benefit from that, from knowing that and understanding how to fix that situation. Some people don't even know what a private trust is, or a private foundation, or a will. Just because they own a house, they think, it's going to go to my wife or my kids. Well, no, it's not. What if your wife or your husband has brain shrinkage and no one realizes it until it's too late and she gives everything to the cat or to the housekeeper? So, or to her own niece instead of her own daughter and her son. You never know what happens. You have taken the responsibility to create a family, to have children at a time period where people aren't. So protect those kids through multiple generations, not just one generation. And this ideology that everybody has to work and everyone has to earn, unfortunately, that's not how it is in the whole world. There are people out there that are extremely rich. And because they're so wealthy, with a private foundation in Liechtenstein, multiple generations will never ever have to work. They could actually do things that they want in life, as opposed to wasting their time on a miserable job. You created this wealth, protect it. Create a legacy out there with your name. So I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope all my videos somehow inspire you to do better in life and somehow help you fix your life. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to subscribe to my channel, do thumbs up so that everyone else gets to watch these videos and learn and protect themselves. Send me messages to the live chat. And finally, please share my video with at least 5 people. Thank you so much for watching.